Hello and welcome to the Arena Sports Show. My name is Clauiee Grace Mpanza. Allow me to introduce my panel to you. I've got football commentator Sizwe Mabena, who has been in the game for 21 years. And interestingly enough, most people need to work and get internships to get their big break. Sizwe Mabena, no, that is not the case. Got his big national break and a few months later went on to commentate his first PSL game. What a story. And then I've got Mahlatse Mphahlele, who is, of course, a sports journalist who's been in the game for 24 years. And he started off, of course, at Pretoria News, and he was the runner. Took him about 5 years to cover first Bafana Bafana game, same with Mamelodi Sundowns. So I've got, of course, experience here with me. And then we bring in a man who has refused to retire. That is, of course, a goalkeeper, but he's transitioned well into life after football. On that note, let's find out what's been happening in your headlines.
Bafana Bafana played to a 3-0 draw with Algeria during the FIFA Series International friendly match played at the Stade Nelson Mandela in Algiers on Wednesday morning. Bafana led twice but allowed the Fennec Foxes to claw their way back in the game, and they were denied what could have been a morale-boosting win ahead of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Nigeria and Zimbabwe in June. University of Johannesburg has confirmed that respected coach Pito Mosimane will receive an honorary doctorate in July to honor his outstanding career as a player, manager and coach. Mosimane, who is now coach of Abba Club in Saudi Pro League, said he was grateful and humbled that UJ would recognize his contribution to football and society by awarding him an honorary doctorate. Cricket South Africa has announced men's and women's contracted players for the 2024-25 season. For the men, Western Province fast bowler Nandre Burger and batter Tony Tezosi have been awarded their first national contracts. Titans fast bowler Gerald Kosia has been upgraded to a full contract, and Dolphins all-rounder Andile Petukwayo is back to the contracted squad. For the women's, the list of contracted squad has increased from 15 to 16, with Dolphins fast bowler Ayanda Hlubi and Titans all-rounder Elise Marie Marks earning their maiden national contracts following an impressive debut season for the Proteas women. Proteas women captain Laura Wolfart has said that the three-match T20 series against Sri Lanka in Benoni, Potchefstroom and East London is an important part of their preparations for the 2024 ICC Women's T20 World Cup in Bangladesh later this year. Wolfrat pointed out that the series, which started in Benoni on Wednesday afternoon and moves to Potchefstroom on Saturday and concludes in East London on Wednesday, are important because they want to try different combinations as they look to finalize their starting lineup for the World Cup.
And while moving on, we do know that on this show we've got a regular feature, that being our Star of the Week, where we get to discuss who has impressed us in the last couple of days. Sizwe Mabena, I'll start with you. Talk to us, who has impressed you?
Probably the next big star in world football. Brazil, England, 17-year-old Endrick comes in, scores as a 17-year-old. I'm thinking maybe the second youngest goal scorer for Brazil. No, he's the fourth youngest goal scorer for Brazil, which lets you know just how they're used to introducing youngsters into the game. But then goes and scores again against Spain. Keeping in mind he's just signed a big contract, I think 60 million euros is the reported amount, to join Real Madrid. So for me, that's possibly the very next big star in football in the years to come.
Real Madrid is cooking, Sizwe Mabena.
Yep.
If you're looking to change, maybe now is the time. That's Mphahlele. What about you?
I'm going to Algiers.
Yeah?
She was dancing last night.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, she got a beautiful brace, 2 well-taken goals. He rolled back the years. Just got to show you that, a special footballer. Not many come close to him. And it was nice to see him, sort of taking the game by the scruff of his neck.
For sure.
Helping the team. Unfortunately, there was no win, but, he tried his best to drag the team along with him. And it was nice to see him at that stage against a big team, quality players, doing what he does the best.
Chloe, who's your player of the week?
Oh, Sizwe Mabena. I'm so impressed with you, man.
I think I must beat you to it.
So I've got a bit of a tricky one, yeah? I have like three athletes on my list, and I don't know who's first.
It's and player of the week, right?
I know.
It's singular, not plural, right?
Oh, you're terrible.
Okay, just checking.
So let me first start by telling you my first three. So I've got Mshishi, yes, as well on my list. I've got Tabang Munara as well on my list. I mean, you look at the assist that he had and how he just dominates that middle park. And then I've got the Martinator, Jorge Martin. He drives in MotoGP. So that's my three. And if I have to pick one, it has to be the Martinator. I'd love to pick local, but I can't because
I thought as much.
What do you mean you thought as much? You chose Mshishi, and I can't now. You know, we can't all camp at the Bafana squad. That just doesn't make sense. You know, somebody has to catch, you know, into a different motorsports world. All right, so Jorge Martin is my player of the week or my rider of the week. He went on to win the Portuguese Grand Prix last weekend. And I mean, he's been having quite the tough one. And when you look into his first one where he always does well on a Saturday, but you need him to show up on a Sunday. So winning his first race for the season for me, absolutely impressive. So looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season looks like for the Martinator.
Oh, he's cheating.
Why?
Last week we said player of the week, she gave us an organization. Today we say player of the week, she gives us 3 players, 2 honorable mentions, and then a player.
You know what?
She's bending the rules every week.
You know what? Next week I'm bringing a dictionary.
Absolutely terrible. But when you're on this side, Sizwe Mabena, you can get away with it, yeah? On that note, we move over to Cape Town, where Mahlatse Mphahlele was our runner once again. You do know, if you watched last week's episode, that he's trying to get in our good books. And if getting into our good books means flying down to Cape Town, that's exactly what Mahlatse Mphahlele has been doing. Let's find out how the Spa Grand Prix, specifically the 10-kilometer Women's Challenge, went down.
I can say that I had a good race according to the plan of my coach and me, that I'm going to start with the ladies and we go together. Then at the 1K, I told the girl that let's push the pace, let's help each other. Then she came and helped me. Then we go. At the 6K, I start to lead. Then she came again. At the 9K, she passed me. She did the move fast. I think she was thinking that she's finishing. Then when we get to the corner, she started to give up. But I was there with her. I did not give up this time because I'm working throughout my speed and to finish. I can say that I had a good race according to the plan. It went well.
Glen Rose, she's blessed to have, you know, a support system. In terms of recoveries, we sorted. She's got a team that always makes sure that she recovers. And when you are a distance runner, you need to calculate your program, how you're going to stay long, injury-free. So if you have that support system, nothing will fail you. And yes, she's around at 29 years now. She have to graduate soon, but I can't disclose that. But soon, it just you will see soon.
Well, absolutely great to see a South African win the Spa Grand Prix, and of course looking forward to seeing what the rest of the year will look like, as we do know that it is a big year in terms of athletics with the Olympics coming right up. And then we move over to La Liga Extra Time, where me and Mahlatse Mphahlele were the runners. Sizwe Mabena, I need to call management to find out when you're being the runner, but we were the runners, and of course we had the chance to engage with some of the bosses that were there to find out the initiative and the plan in terms of unearthing and of course producing great talent in the African continent.
For La Liga, Africa is very important, I must say, and they say it's easier said than done. But we're also doing and proving that it's something important because of deployment that we have today in the continent. It's so important for us that we have senior executives in name of delegates that are in many countries in Africa. We have 7 representations. We have in Angola, we have in South Africa, we have in Tanzania, we have in Nigeria, we have in Cameroon, we have in Ivory Coast, and all of these delegates and senior executives, help to grow the brand in Africa help to understand the market better, help to produce insight for us to also understand our fans, understand our partners, grow with our partners, support our partners, and be able also to learn from the continent, to learn and know how we can, year after year, engage better. And that is being seen with all the projects that we do, the innovation that we give to our products, to our individual product, to help our broadcasters locally, like what has been done in the beginning of the season, and now with the partner EA Sports, the new graphic package that has been added, all the activations we do, all the projects, like long-term projects we do, because we're very committed also. It's not only the deployment, but it's a commitment that's unwavering in the continent, the commitment to be part, to play a part in the growth of the industry, not only at grassroots levels with the local leagues we have that have been created, with the sponsorship, with the scholarships we give to young ladies that, for example, last year we gave up to 8 scholarships from 8 young girls here in Africa. We had 2 from South Africa, 3 from Zambia, 2 from Nigeria, and 1 from Tanzania. This year again, we are going to be doing the same thing, because it's our commitment, it's unwavering. In South Africa, the activities also are very we're very active, right? We have been last season, for example, we had up to 40 activations that were done in South Africa. We work in close collaborations with our local partners. We are now working hand in hand with SAFA to get these two young girls to be awarded this scholarship for next season in Spain, where they're going to fine-tune their football talent while they're at international schools. They're exposed to different cultures. We're going to have other international students from many other countries, Mexico, Japan, USA, which, first of all, we would like them to gain this experience, because this is a life experience, which is more important at the end of the day. We want them to gain it and also fine-tune their talent and expose them to opportunities tomorrow. So that's how Africa is important for us. We did it this scholarships with COSAFA last season. We have engaged in ball donations also, because we're donating balls here in South Africa. We've been donating 100 balls to Nassif Maurice N5 Academy. We donate balls also to COSAFA, to SAFA, to local institutions like Western Cape, KZN. And yeah, so that's how active we are, that's how committed we are, and that's how serious our deployment is. And yeah, going back to better said than done, we are better doing than saying. If we see the stars we have, African stars we have today in European competitions, we see their performance, what they do is just amazing. And all of that is being done from a background of lack of infrastructure. So you ask yourself, if the infrastructures were the way you had at international levels or other leagues, how would these talents be out there? Like, Africa is going to be like, well, it's going to be, there's going to be a huge gap, right? Because with all these challenges, we still have this amount of talent. So what happens, these different clubs come in, like Real Betis in Zimbabwe, here we have Espanyol, we have Celta. We come in to be able to detect these talents, harness these talents, create pathways and opportunities. Obviously, if we can find the next star for the continent in Africa, why not? That's actually the idea. Starting from these opportunities, this exposure, because whatever we do also, we communicate to the clubs. We are an association of 42 clubs. We make them understand that there are a lot of stars in this continent. Let's try to get in there. Let's try to engage with these stars, with this talent. Let's try to engage with these talents. Let's see their capacities, their attributes, what they can offer to the league, help them in their objectives, and this makes them think of coming in, getting to source it themselves, get to understand how can we, harness talent out of here to be able to top our game, or to be able to have to be more competitive in terms of clubs. So hopefully, all of these activities that are being done here helps to increase the number of African players in the Liga. We'll be very happy to see that, and all the opportunities we're giving. We're not saying that it must happen, but we think that it all starts by the creation of opportunities. Once we create these opportunities, once we have these girls out there on scholarship, once we have this academies here, once we have these exchange programs, something comes out of there. So we hope and believe that we'll be able to get good results.
Moving swiftly along, we bring on a man now who has not officially retired from football, but he has transitioned into life after football. Quite interesting. He wears many hats. He is a team manager of Trap and Pass. He is ambassador for, of course, a certain Italian brand, and he's also an actor. We can keep on adding. Brighton Mhlongo joins us now. Jack of all trades, what do you master, Shiva?
Yeah, I mean, with the intro like that, yeah, no, I'm humbled, and I must say that thank you so much, guys, for having me. And I mean, I must give credit to you guys as well, because you're part of that journey, you're part of that story.
Yeah.
You know, my transition actually, it somehow got propelled when I joined the Vision View team on radio. So thank you so much.
Mainly me. Please don't give them too much credit, because they're gonna jump onto this credit. Let's just say mainly Clauiee and the other locker room team.
I'll just say to the Vision View team. So yeah, I'll keep it at
You're
that.
a nice guy. So which one is your favorite hat, Shiva? Which one's your favorite hat?
Football will always be my first love. I'm not going to lie to you. But talking about the favorite hat, I think my new love right now, having started the acting career, I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. I know Mabena is itching to get into that. No, we're not doing that.
I just want to say, you know, great footballer, great international, loved you as a footballer, but I love you even more as Branyiko Mavas. Pimp amongst pimps.
He has been waiting to answer those words.
No, Branyiko from now on, forever and a day.
But Shiva, I think before we proceed into what we have today, quick question. I was told to ask you this. You and Opa Manisa have been the tag team. We don't see you guys together no more. We don't see you guys doing lives no more. What's going on?
Hey, the situation no comes that is small. No man, we're still good. We're still he's a brother to me, you know. So it's one of those, like, when you grow, some things we just have to, you know, how do I put it? So my schedule was very, very, very hectic, and he's now handling the operations within our company, you know. So he's running around the way I used to run around with him. Now it's like, brother, now I need you more than ever, because hey, I'm getting calls, I'm getting this and that, you know. So he oversees things, and then we do have our moments, even though, you know, the reason why you don't see all those lives and everything is because by the time we meet each other, I'm tired.
Oh,
you know,
and I know you.
talk for you know, the whole day. My life is all about talking these days and acting, and then now I have to get on that live thing and talk and act again. I just feel like it's too much. So he's also now getting used to being busy, you know, because you know, Opa, he's always, I'm tired. No, can't we go tomorrow? Now it's a must for him to go there, you know. So it becomes more difficult. He's more like, you know what, let's touch base tomorrow. You know what, whenever we have to meet or do something, you know. But the relationship is still out there, it's still solid.
All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from himself, Brighton Mhlongo, saying that they're still A-OK. Don't panic as of yet. The bromance is still intact. We then move over to find out, of course, what the Pito Mosimane schools is doing, as, of course, we do know that they had some training trials a few weeks ago. So let's find out what happened and, of course, a few conversations that we've had there.
The Pito Mosimane soccer schools rounded off 3 weeks of trials in Mamelodi recently that attracted more than 1,000 aspiring young players from all areas in Gauteng. PMSS, which is the mission to create the player of tomorrow, assessed boys and girls between the ages of 6 and 15 in Boksburg, Midrand, North Riding and finally in Mamelodi. About 1,200 participated in the program, which was led by recently appointed Head of Youth Development, Justin Collett, who was impressed by the quality that was on display. The well-travelled and highly skilled youth coach expressed his admiration for the players' participation during the final 2 days of trials and also emphasized the importance of having girls as part of the school's grassroots program.
All right, of course, we do know that it's very important for Coach Pito to be able to unearth the next generation, and that's exactly what the Pito Mosimane soccer schools is all about, to create the next generation of players. And it's great to see, I think it's about 1,200 players that were a part of this tournament, this training trials as well, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. A man, everybody knows actually, Coach Pito Mosimane very well, besides Sizwe Mabena, but Brighton Mhlongo and Mahlatse know Pito very well. I'll start with you, Shiva, because you're our guest. Talk to us about, you know, this initiative coming from Coach Pito.
Very great one, I must say, and I think it's very much important to have such initiatives. One, for the betterment of South African football, because we've been on a decline for many years now, and I feel like for a person like Coach Pito's magnitude, it's so big of him to come back and say, no, there's a problem here, we need to still plow back, you know, so that we can breed a new generation of footballers, you know. But not only that, because he always emphasizes on breeding a good generation of human beings as well. So for me, I think this is very, very important for our country, and I so wish that he gets the much needed support so that he can continue also, you know, doing the Lord's work like he's been doing right now.
For sure. Mabena?
Two things that impressed me about this. Firstly, it's the level of coaching the kids are getting, where they've got a top-notch youth coach coming in. That's impressive. We always talk about kids needing to be coached right from a young age.
Yeah.
And the most impressive thing for me is they're starting at under 6. So it's top coaching as young as possible at under 6.
For sure.
And that's an area in South African football where we've always felt there was a bit of a gap in as far as getting the right coaching, but also going as young as possible to start working on kids. So for me, that's what I love the most. 1,200 kids, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it only stands us in good stead in the future.
100%. And Mahlatse, I mean, you know Coach Pito very well. I think just 2 weeks back, he was schooling me about some of the terms that Coach Pito would use and where they stem from. I mean, we use words, I'm not going to quote it now, but there's certain words that we use. And we
That would be very dangerous.
and we wonder where they come from. But I mean, we also touched on earlier on about UJ honoring him, of course, with a doctorate, that being Pito. So he's done well and he's being recognized. And I mean, you've seen his growth throughout the years. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think there's no better person than Coach Pito. I've known Coach Pito closely for, what, 20 years now?
Yeah.
I remember when he arrived at SuperSport with Bruce Hall was still the coach at SuperSport. And there was a moment where Bruce didn't actually want Pito there, but Thomas and Stan Mythos and some of the guys there wanted Pito to be involved because they wanted to get rid of Bruce Grobler. And I've known him all these years, and a passionate man. He loves football. So in those days, he used to drive a small Ford Fiesta. It looked like he was sleeping in that car, you know. He was always on the move, and you know. But again, somebody who loved football, who is committed to his work. In those days, these things of analysis was not the flavor of the month, but he used to do that kind of stuff. He used to drive around, go watch matches, and ask the former players, the players who were senior players in this team at that time, to watch other matches and, you know, analyze and do all those kinds of things. So he's somebody who, you look at him now, you say, he's come a long way. I'm not surprised, or I'm not shocked, or if you know, UJ want to bestow this honor on him. He has done very well. Probably, definitely the most successful coach in the country. You don't win the Champions League 3 times if you are a small-time coach. He has done it at Al Ahly, where there's a lot of pressure.
For sure.
And I remember he came back here some years back, and he was actually complaining about that he was not in good health because of the constant pressure that the Al Ahly fans gives on you. You win, sometimes they still complain that you didn't win well. You know, so he was operating under that kind of pressure, and you know, I think there's not a better person who deserves that honor.
For sure.
I'm just excited that we can officially call him Pito.
Yeah.
You've been ever since actually.
Now we can-
Brighton has
we can
been.
give it
Yeah,
to
he's
I should
been.
say, like in the South African terms, we should be saying Ubabu Pizzo.
That's it.
So now he's going to be Dr. Coach Pito.
The coach part, I think we need to scrap it out.
Yeah.
You don't need
it's
it
gone past
then,
that phase now, yeah.
It's unfortunate, Mabena, that in your lifetime, you're never going to get the sir or the baba, you know, but nonetheless, we appreciate what you've done in the game, Sizwe Mabena. We move over to Banyana Banyana. We do know that they are preparing for the 4th round of the Olympics. Let's find out what Coach Jesu Alice had to say.
Okay, this will be our first training session. I think all very excited. We know it's a very big match. Like Coach T said last night, it's like a boxing match. The last round of a 12-round boxing match, and the loser goes home, you know, and we want to make sure that we prepare really well. So thank you to SAFA for this week, but also thank you to the clubs, you know, over the last couple of weeks. We've seen really quality matches, the top 5 playing against each other on a regular basis, the intensity. So thank you to the coaches out there. I think in February they really helped us with the preparation that they had in pre-season to get us ready for a certain level. But it's good to see, the level of the players now. It has really gotten better, and the game is the teacher, and it has really, really helped us. Look, I think it's a blessing in disguise. We've played most of our games away and have taken the pressure of coming home. And likewise, similarly, this is going to be the case. It's a game where we're going to have to get a positive result. The turnaround time for the next game is very short. And we have to make sure that we get a positive result. Not only that, to take the pressure off us coming home, but I want to urge the fans to come out in their numbers. When we play away, we have the 12th and the 13th play against us. The only time we've experienced that is at the COSAFA Cup and a little bit, now in Bombela. But I want to urge the fans in Gauteng to come out in their numbers and to fill up the stadium and be their 12th and 13th player for us, because they've really helped us along the way. When there's a lull in the game, they're singing. All of a sudden, they motivate the players, and I think it's really important that they come out. But it's the biggest game. It's the only games that we need. We haven't been to the Olympics in 2020. They haven't been in 2008. So it's definitely a battle, and who wants it the most. And we're going to have to be at our absolute best, because they've shown over a period of time that they've been consistent. And for us to be put in that same bracket, we have to be consistent. And it's really exciting to see quite a lot of the players back. You always want your more experienced players to be there, but we have to say thank you to the core group, because they have been magnificent over the last couple of months, where we really had to dig deep, with all the injuries we've had, with all the exams we've had, etc. We've had to really, really dig deep. Andile has been withdrawn due to medical reasons. We know Colossus hasn't recovered from an injury. Wendy's also out through injury. But there's always an opportunity for someone else to step up, and that has happened in the past. We've seen players come in and stepped up, and we lost Themba during WAFCON, and Jermaine stepped up, and now she really, really stepped up. So it's another opportunity for someone else to come in and for someone else to really stand up and shine. Pre-season is good, but match fitness is something else. And like I said earlier, playing against the top 5, playing against each other on a regular basis, it was high-intensity matches, and that really helped also with the fitness. It helped with everything, because we're always urging teams to play quicker and at a higher intensity.
Well, it's great to see, of course, Coach Desiree in great spirits, and of course happy to welcome back a few players that were injured, the likes of Orifilwe Jane, Babanani Mbane, who are great and back in the squad. But it's not completely healthy, because there are a few players as well who are still injured, the likes of Andile Dlamini, who was recently announced, and Ukolosa Biyane and Wendy Shongwa. I want to speak to you, Brighton, about the goalkeeping department when you look into Banyana Banyana. I mean, now we do know that Andile won't be part of the Nigerian counter because she's been injured. But when you look into Banyana in terms of the goalkeeping department, is there set number one, and also the competition between the keepers in that department?
Look, I know this conversation was brought up during the World Cup with having Kaylin starting all the games. I think she did fairly well. At some point, she made crucial saves, which took the team to the last 16. And I think she's very much capable of also staking a claim, and then whenever she gets the nod, So I think it's a very, very good, healthy competition amongst them. Yes, we know that Andile, she's the darling of the nation. Mzansi's #1 currently right now, in good form, truly amazing and inspiring the team on and off the field as well. Sure. But I think such moments, they always give other players opportunities to rise above circumstances. And I think with Kaylin, facing the backlash that she did face during the World Cup, she came back as a better person. At some point, I watched her game when they played domestic league, and I saw that there was a whole lot of improvement. It's one of those where, hear it from a goalkeeper, I know when it's like that, you always have to dig deeper and say, I'll show them, I'll show them. Even though you don't say it out loud, but you have that. Little knowing that, obviously, while you're saying that, your game keeps peaking and peaking. So I think it's the right moment for Kaylin as well to step up and step in and take the team to the next level.
We must also keep in mind that, 2 years ago, at the COSAFA Women's Championships, remember what they did? They had a Banyana Banyana almost beat him.
Sure.
Operating there. It was young girls, some of them teenagers and so on. So what Coach Desiree and their team have done over the last couple of years is always make sure they've got depth, even in those waiting to come in and take over. So for me, that little bit of international experience gained early in people's careers is standing them in good stead to keep the wheel rotating. Should players be waiting to replace those that are injured or those that can't play right now. So they've got depth and they've been working on it, a big pool of depth. And that's great planning for me from a Banyana point of view.
100%. Mahlatse Mphahlele, when you look into, of course, the encounter against Nigeria, the last time that we played them, it was against, of course, in the WAFCON, and we won that. But it is a different side because the last time that they qualified for the Olympics was in 2008. So they are just as hungry to be a part of the Olympics. Talk to us about that encounter and what we could expect.
Yeah, well, I just hope that don't have a mental block against Nigeria. It's something that affects even the men's team most of the times. You always have got these people that when you play against, it's like when you have studied, then when you get in the exam room,
everything goes blank.
Everything goes blank. You know, it will be two good teams, long history of rivalry, and you know, I guess it's up to them now to rock up, go there, try and win away from home, and then come back home and. There's not too much pressure when you play at home. It's not going to be easy though. There's a lot at stake. Olympics is quite a big deal, especially for the women's for the women's game. And you know, looking at what Bafana are doing now, there is a nice vibe in the country about our football again, and they will sort of dampen the spirit if they were not to qualify. But I've got confidence that they'll do it. You know, the women's team is also.
They started a trend. They can't be dampened.
Yeah, they are the ones who.
No, they've been making us happy, hey?
We've come such a long way against Nigeria. The 2008 All Africa Games in Algeria, I think it was. We went through to the final against Nigeria. So before the final, I was off interviewing the players to find out, hey, you're going to play Nigeria. Back then, we were struggling to beat Nigeria. And lo and behold, a few of the players I heard the days leading up to the match were going up to the coaches saying, I'm sick, I don't think I can play in the final. Nervous about playing Nigeria. And to think how far we've come from then to now, to a point where we're thinking, look, hey man, we can take these guys. We are actually the champs, the target is on us. One. Two, Banyana Banyana need to do us a favor here. After the AFCON has just ended, and our encounter with Nigeria, we need revenge. We need revenge here. We need revenge. So the grudge is alive again with South Africa, and the rivalry is alive again with South Africa and Nigeria, both on the men's and on the female side. So it's a great timing for this match for me.
And I mean, you know, in sports, it's South Africa, Nigeria, South Africa in rugby, South Africa, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand. In football, well, we don't really measure up quite well with England, but we just don't like the English. You know, so it's one of those things where when these countries come up against each other,
it becomes
it's war. And it's war in a nice way. You know, so they should go out there and they will be competitive. They've been doing well also over the last while, and I think they are riding the crest of wave, and it's good to see.
And I think what helps as well is now having a number of players that have good international exposure as well, and playing their trade overseas. It really helps. Yes, you know, because we can have a number of players, but they are not playing. Then it becomes difficult because now, as a coach, you're also worried about match fitness and so forth. But with Banyana players, most of them, I mean, in Mexico, they're banging in goals left, right, and center. You know, you look elsewhere. I mean, your Linda Matalo, she's also playing. So everyone is getting that much needed exposure. So I don't see a reason why we should be worried. In fact, right now, I think Nigeria, they're saying the same thing to say, hey guys, because it's also the, after that, it's also the repeat, because we're playing the Super Eagles for the World Cup qualifiers. So no, they must do the things. We are ready.
It's actually the same thing that Coach Pito said some years back, that when the Champions League draw is done, whoever comes up against Sundowns, they say, ish. They are worried to play against Sundowns. So now, most of the African teams in women's football, when they are up against Banyana Banyana, they say, hey, because they know 100%. It's not going to be easy there.
100%. So if Banyana Banyana do qualify, they do find themselves in Group C, they will have to take on Brazil, Spain and Japan come the Olympics in Paris. So hopefully, of course, they will do well. We move over. The gentlemen are sighing, but listen, it's going to be entertaining. We move over to Bafana Bafana after quite an interesting encounter against Andorra, where Mahlatse Mphahlele said absolutely rubbish on his Twitter account, and then he went off to sleep, referring, of course, to that game. And then we moved over now to the encounter against Algeria, and I did not see any negative comment from him. Besides, there's one that I saw on TimesLIVE where you said they were held to a draw, Mahlatse Mphahlele, but they failed to manage the game. I think those are the words that you played along with.
Yeah, I was very disappointed with that performance against Andorra. I think when you play against a weak team like that, if you are South Africa, even if you are South Africa, you made the wholesale changes, you still be able to be competitive. They were not competitive, there was no hunger, there was no drive. And also remember in that match, there was a number of players who got an opportunity to show us what they can do. And I think, you know, they sort of missed the trick there a little bit. It was a poor performance. But now, yesterday, the coach changed things around. I think he made it close to, 9 to 10 changes. Only Munari is the one who started to play the last match. Sort of, you know, factory settings, if you will. It was a good enough performance, even though I don't think that they managed the game very well. In a situation like that, where you led twice in a match, you still can't get the result. A little bit sour taste in my mouth, but they didn't lose, which is important. You know, sometimes we shouldn't just be too harsh on Bafana. It was not an overwhelming performance. It was not too bad. It was.
You are not making sure.
He's a hard man. He's a hard man.
I like that.
He is a hard man to the class to Bafana.
I like that.
No, fair enough.
I like that because I fully agree with you. However, I must come to their defense, especially when we're talking about, you know, the Andorra game, because we're looking at the team cohesion. These are the players that haven't played, you know, together in a competitive match for Bafana. You know, yes, people might say, yeah, but the centre-back pairing, they play together, Pirates and whatnot. It's different level when it comes to national team and different oppositions as well. Different tactical acumen from the coaches as well, you know. So those are the things that you look at. What I can say is quite disappointing, where I agree with Mahlatse, is that moments, know the moments of the game. You know, a famous coach, Gavin Hunt, always says, get into the space and environment, smell the dressing room, you know, smell the environment.
For sure.
Check what's happening around you. Is it conducive for me to build up, for example? No. Are we confident enough to do that? Probably when these people come in, these players that we're talking about, the 8 new players, every single one of them, and it reminds me of a funny story. When I made my debut for Bafana, I was with Isaac Ntlap as well, who was making his debut, and it was worse on Isaac because he came in as a last-minute call-up because there was some injury. He was literally shaking national anthem. I had to elbow him. I'm like, my friend, come on, not relax, now. I don't need that now because I'm also shaking in my own way. But in my mind, it was easier because I've played a Soweto derby prior to that. You know, you always console yourself with that. But now there are players, when they get to that phase, they're still jittery, even though they're not going to show, you know. Now, when it's like that, as teammates, if we're saying we experienced, you know, we were from the AFCON and whatnot, all we got to say is, let's consolidate up until we get the confidence. Up until everything is okay for us now to say, take them on. Now I can try and be, you know, to explore, you know, build up, maybe a few tricks here and there. But I just still believe that an element of where, as Bafana, you know, we just need to have that mental capacity that knows how to differentiate and play the moment of the game. Then if we are able to do that, then we'll be good, because we just tend to be, you know, naive at times. You want to play out when it's not conducive for you to do so. Sometimes you need to shut the back door. You don't want to do that. That's why we end up finding ourselves in these kind of predicaments where we concede goals, where we're like, did you really have to concede those goals? Did you really have to get a draw against Andorra or against Algeria? Because for me, Algeria were weak, Mabena. I don't care what you say. That was the worst Algerian team I've ever seen in my life.
And
from AFCON until now.
And Brighton, look at it from this way. A win against Algeria last night is extremely important because we take that win into the World Cup qualifiers. In Zimbabwe. So, you know, there was something big and important in that match that we played last night. That a win will do us a lot of good.
Yeah, and beating a top 5 team.
Yes, that's another.
For rankings, beating a top 5 team is something else.
But here's the thing, though. I still find some positives in this particular encounter in that, first, when you look at the qualifiers for the last AFCON, just the qualifiers, right? we weren't scoring goals like it was going out of fashion. Look at the AFCON itself that we've just come out of. We weren't scoring goals like it was going out of fashion. So here we are, we go to Algeria, and we score 2 lovely goals. We score 3 in total, away from home.
Yeah.
Bafana Bafana, as we heard Hugo Plus say after the Andorra game, South Africa has a goal-scoring problem. So confidence is gained in that way. Yes, we conceded 3. 2 of the goals we conceded were moments where, like you say, an error in the moment.
Sure.
It's not like you've been played apart.
Sure.
You made the mistake that led to the goal more than they broke you down. So there are some positives to take out of this, especially going into the qualifiers, especially for me away from home. Where sometimes when you go into the qualifiers, it matters when you're going to go to Nigeria and try and get that win that matters at a crucial stage in the group stages.
100%.
So scoring goals away is important.
All right, you've made 2 valid points. Brighton to wrap Bafana Bafana. It's always important to have, of course, the competition that you spoke of when you were talking about Banyana Banyana in terms of the goalkeeping department. When you look into Bafana and the goalkeeping department, we know that Ronwen Williams is number 1. We saw Ricardo Goss was given a chance against Andorra. We've seen Velimoto in the DStv Premiership seemingly coming back with Amazulu. Talk to us about that goalkeeping department because, of course, you're a keeper yourself.
We don't have a crisis. I think we've had these conversations many a times from Mahlatse, right? Over the years, where I'd often hear people saying we have a goalkeeping crisis.
Oh, you've heard that, no?
Many a times.
Yeah,
and trust me, I still say to you, SA is blessed in abundance. If there's any position that SA over the years has been blessed in, it's goalkeeping. You look at Andre Arense's era. It was your John Clauiee. You had your Brian Bafana Bafana. You know, the list is endless. You had your Grant Johnson, who's currently the Bafana goalkeeper coach right now. You know, so now you look at this era, there's Buthelezi at Pirates, there's Bruce, you know, there's Veli, there's Brendan Peterson at Chiefs as well. You know, the list is endless.
And you haven't retired as yet.
So you can still go back.
Let's stick to that. I'd throw in a Tumelo Nkuna to close in the section as well. He's still there, you know. But when you look at it, I think credit must go to most of the PSL teams that have stuck their guns in making sure that they give the players the opportunities, because I always say that here in South Africa we do produce a lot.
For sure.
But when it comes to introducing, it's always so now I've seen teams believing in young goalkeepers. I've seen teams now willing to share the stage to say, okay, I have a first choice for the league, second choice for cup games, you know, and all these South African goalkeepers are getting that much needed exposure that they need. And we see with the team selection, AFCON, it was Velimoto there, but when he came back, there was Mzimele at Amazulu, a young boy who's doing exceptionally well. And now it tells you that competition is very high. And Ronwen is saying who's going to dethrone me, because he had to work so hard also to dethrone the likes of Itu, you know, the likes of Senzo, you know. So you can see, South Africa is in good hands, like literally. We can save anything and everything.
Thank you, safe hands.
Relationship-wise, can we save yours?
He needs a lot of help. I don't think he can save his.
Let's remember also, even over the years, when you look at good Nigerian teams over the years that go to a World Cup and such, the one, or a good Ghanaian team that does well, the one area of concern was, over the years, I'm talking some years ago now, was goalkeeping on the African continent. I'm talking throughout the continent now, where we sort of set the standard, so to speak. When you look at now Nigeria's last few goalkeepers, or Ghana, a lot of it is happening here, where we're developing goalkeepers for the continent. And a good example of that was the last AFCON. We had so many goalkeepers from the PSL, even one who's a reserve goalkeeper, doing well at that AFCON. So, when it comes to the goalkeeping department...
So maybe Andre Onana should come to South Africa? Onana should come to South Africa?
Yeah. Onana. You remind me now of Ovono now, you know? Ovono.
I mean, I just want to get Brighton's view on the issue of people. There's been growing calls that maybe in South Africa we should... Maybe, I don't know what the right word, not ban, but for clubs not to employ foreign goalkeepers, or clubs must be forced to use locally based goalkeepers. I think it's happening in Egypt.
In Egypt, I think that's what has helped the likes of Hassam El Hadri. He went on to be the legendary best African goalkeeper by far. I mean, he even went to the World Cup at the age of 45. You know, we've seen now with El Shenawi, you know. He's one of the goalkeepers, Sheriff as well. One of the goalkeepers that have come through the ranks, you know, from Egypt, whereby they were afforded the chance and they grew in that department, you know. And we always say that goalkeepers, they mature by age. And these are the guys who got their big break at a very young age with top teams. And they got used to playing competitive football, pressure game, you know, at high level, high intensity and all of that. You can name it all. And that also transferred to the national team because of the opportunity that they were given. So to come back to your question, I know at some point we need to be wary because it's always a sensitive conversation because it brings about other topics like we being, you know, otherwise and all of that, xenophobic and stuff like that. However, I think when we find, maybe if we identify a problem, you know, if we identify a problem, let's fix it. And how best do we fix it? If the solution means we need to introduce more goalkeepers that are playing, then make it mandatory. That's what needs to happen. However, if you're not blocking them out completely, because also cutting them out, it also, I think, for the value of the league and the competition element, because, for example, I'm Brighton sitting there, I'm competing against 3 or 4 MTC goalkeepers. Subsequently, in my mind, it's a you know. However, if I get a push, Ubutelezi, he grew because there was a European goalkeeper that was pushing him at TS Galaxy and made him the best goalkeeper that he is. With us at Pirates as well, when we had your Fatau Dauda from the World Cup coming to Orlando Pirates, it was something massive. We had a Brazilian goalkeeper, Getulio Vargas, which for me it was, whoa, competing against a Brazilian.
For sure.
This is something else. But you get to grow. And different dynamics as well. You learn different dynamics. You pick up, you know, different technical aspects from those people, you know. So I think it's a thing where now we can cap it and say a certain percentage. South African players, they need to play a certain percentage of games. You'll choose which game, but just make sure they play 75%. And then a certain percentage can go to our fellow African brothers. Then I'm okay with that, as long as goalkeepers get more game time, because we've seen in the AFCON, we don't have to say it anymore, guys. The bronze, it was through, yes, the team, but the goalkeeping department, shout out to them. They've been fantastic.
I think we can also add a future administrator at some point in your life as another hat that you could chairman something. You know?
No, you can miss me on that one. I'm still learning from the greats. I mean, and I always say to people that every time there's time for everything, you know. And I mean, Mabena, how many times have you been doing the click, click, bang, bang? You know, it's been long. And
by the way, it's been banned on the show that click, click.
Yeah, we don't say it. It's unnecessary.
So be careful now.
But you
I want you to come back.
so you get where I'm coming from. Mahlatse has been writing for long, to a point that to him it's second nature. He just closes his eyes, and then when he opens, everything just goes. You know, it doesn't happen. It doesn't just happen overnight.
For sure.
It's experience.
For sure.
So I think the youth right now, we need to stop being naive. Abosiyazi. And indlela bathi ibuzokuba phambili. You need to learn from these guys. I wasn't going to be the person that I am if it wasn't for you guys. You know, I'd learn every time whenever I come to the show, listen to how you speak, how you raise your points and everything. Because sometimes it's good to sound smart and talk all these big English, but when we sit down and say,
what did you say?
What are you saying?
What was
it's a
the question?
problem, you know. So for me, I think it's just a matter of experience, and that's what I'm trying to do right now, trying to grasp as much as I can, trying to learn as much as I can from the guys who have traveled this journey, so that when now it's my time to go with the bang bang, then we all good.
My man.
How much did Sizwe pay you? Because this doesn't make sense.
I suspect he's going to appear as an extra on the
And my club is called The Block, right? So it is after my character nickname, because Nico is Nico The Block. He used to be The Block, the goalkeeper for Soshanguve Giants. So I opened the club after my nickname. So you're more than welcome, Mr. Mabena, to come through and man.
My man.
Does he need to shed a bit? Or is fine? Does he need to shed or is he fine?
I'd be worried to go Mahlatse because Lapana, my former teammates, they come through and everything, and you know how footballers can be when you know Nami, I'm dealing with that, by the way. I didn't understand it while I was still on the other side. But when they see, I was Palinda back. It's the worst. You always have to explain yourself. No, guys. My phone is far away. I
For
never pen. I just want to be with you guys. I miss you guys. So they don't get that part. It's always, Nangog.
So Khalil. Shiva, though, we move over. This part now is a bit more intimate. Now where we get to know you, right?
Man. I thought that's what we're doing.
No. Don't run away now. We want to find out. We'll have a few questions for you, right? But to start it off, how we started it is that you've not officially retired. So perhaps clarify that for us as to why haven't you officially retired and when do you plan to do it?
Maybe let me just write the statement for you.
No.
No.
I don't think I'm that big to have a press conference. I've realized that these nowadays it's easier. Just go to Instagram, Shaji statement, heartfelt message, thanking the rest of the world, and then you're nice, you're okay. We keep it moving. The reason why I haven't done that, I think for me it was important that I heal first, emotionally. It's always painful to like every time whenever I read about it, it's a forced into retirement, forced into. So I want to do it at my own accord and being comfortable and fully healed to say, you know what, Donna, it's been a journey. It's been very painful. But now we're really solid, So having said that, yes, I think I am ready. And I want to make it very special to me, and because after my injury, I've been praying about, last dance, last dance, I would have loved, It's one of those, it felt like death to me, where it just came abruptly, and I didn't even get a chance to, wave to the fans, that kind of vibe, or just 2 minutes
on your own terms, eh?
Yeah, so I just want to be, at peace with it and heal properly, because surprisingly, it still hurts till today. Watching football, it's difficult for me, being in and around. For the first time, I went to the Soweto Derby after I don't know how long. I've always covered the Soweto Derby, in studio. And then when they asked me if I'm comfortable, because they knew my reasons, my employers knew the reasons that I'm not comfortable in going to the stadium, because it's still painful for me. I went to a CAF game, Sundowns, I broke down. And then I realized that, I'm still not strong enough for that. So let me just rather work with, my emotions and just find my feet up until I'm ready. I went to the Soweto Derby, ended up not watching the game. In fact, I watched the 83rd minute, towards the game, and I wasn't watching the game because it was very painful. It brought so many memories. And for me, Soweto Derby, Soccer City also unpacked how I lost my dad when I was playing the Soweto Derby, a whole lot of stuff, And most importantly for me, it was the thing of, I wish I could have been there, the last dance. I wish I could do this again. Oh, I miss the atmosphere, I miss the vibe. I still miss that. I still dream about it. So that's when I felt like, don't rush into it, deal with it, and then maybe when the time comes, there will be that official last dance. Maybe ngiphethe Legs of Thunder laphana, ngiphethe Mahlatse paleni.
Legs of Thunder is confusing. Now we don't know if you're talking about Jace Kosana or Clauiee.
No, Oprachere. So actually we had this conversation, no Oprachere. I said, Oprachere, lenda Legs of Thunder, no. I think so include grand laphana. It's safe, good Clauiee. So when because people don't know his other nickname, Abidjan.
Yes.
He doesn't like it, but I told him, I said, Abidjan. So I think that's one thing that I'd love to do, like have that last dance where I bring all my former teammates that I played with, especially the ones that we went through the CAF journey together, and play with against my new family, which is the industry people, you guys, my family, so the first family versus second family. Also winners.
Just don't call these ones up. They're gonna cost you. Eh?
I have to be there. He's gonna be the commentator playing though.
No, you must just commentate.
Me, just give me surprise Murus 14. I'm there.
I mean, last dance, then we can officially close the curtain.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. Mahlatse, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to check something. When you talk about the last dance, I mean, obviously as time goes on, the chances become slimmer and slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. So how long are you going to keep on holding on to something that is, maybe in reality looks like it may never happen? I mean, obviously not wishing anything bad, but I just don't think that you'll ever get a chance of playing a professional match again.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you. And I mean, I think for me, the best answer to that is it all depends on time. Because time heals and mends every broken souls, And for me right now, I'm still broken. And I don't want to do it for the sake and still come back and sit with you, Mahlatse, and still say this and say, I still feel. So I want to do that, knowing that after that, done. Don't ask me, even when you call me on the show, don't ask me about football and all of that. No, I'm joking. Football will always be a part of me. So, but it's just one of those. But coming back in terms of a time frame, I think what I've been doing lately has helped a lot. Very therapeutic, especially with Champions. The storyline is amazing to a point that some of the scenes I can relate. It's most of the things that I've gone through, and some of them is things that I'm going through, and it's very therapeutic. At that moment, it becomes, it triggers, and then I'm like, after that, phew, okay, on to the next phase. So I think my healing process is going very well, and pretty soon, coming to the last dance, Mahlatse, the last dance for me, even if it's at the age of 90,
yes,
it's going to be that last dance. So most importantly for me, I think we've seen people over the years doing it for people. For me, I'm doing it for myself. And that's why I feel like it's not going to be a game where it's distinguished between Pirates or so-and-so. No, it's just going to be for everyone. That's why that last dance, I would love to take it to my hometown. I'd love to take it closer to the people. I'd love everyone to be involved. Whether you can play or not, Clauiee is going to wear the gloves and be in goals. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all about sharing that moment with the people who were really there with me throughout my career and post-playing career, the guys that gave me the support, the guys who kept on saying, you'll get through this. So I want to share that moment with them to say, finally, we are here. Now we're jumping over to the next chapter, but last dance first. Let's do this.
All right. So Shiva, what I want to find out from you, what you've said, right? We had 10-10 last week, and he spoke about where he's at currently in life is that he wants to help the younger players, the upcoming players, from the experience that he's had with his football, be it traumatic, be it great, but he's at this point where he just wants to share, and whether it's good or bad, that's his state. Now with you, in your transition, where are you? Because I know you've also had, your heartbreaks in football, besides the injury, but there's also been challenges with clubs and not getting along with certain management. Talk to us about that and how you've also managed to handle that fight between clubs when they don't give you what you know you deserve.
It's funny because with me, I can have a bad day or I can have fights with Mabena right now. As soon as I go to bed, it's chai. Hey, you see this tiny body? You cannot hold grudges. How done? I can't. But I mean, I try as much as I can to be in a happy space, and not forgetting my duties, which is to serve, serve with a purpose. And I always believe that with this calamity that I faced, it's a thing of now I have to move to serve in a different path, and which now means that if I have to educate, let me do it, and that's what I've been doing of lately, making sure that I offer opportunities to these young aspiring footballers, and most importantly, I preach about, life lessons to anyone and everyone. You don't have to be a footballer. Every time, whenever we have these intimate conversations, whether you're a corporate or anywhere, I'll make reference about football because that's one thing that I know my entire life. But I always talk about, making sure that we breed good human beings as opposed to talking about a good football, a good singer and all of that. Just if we can focus on being good human beings, I think that would be the utmost, achievement for me, accomplishment rather, So those are the things that I keep doing out there. It's funny enough, even now at Champions, these young guys, they come to me like, yo, we looked up to you, this and that.
For sure.
How do you do this? And then I explain to them that the same things that you guys are facing in your, acting careers, it's the same thing in football. So don't think there's something different. To a point that I took some of the guys to Soccer City to go and experience a life of a footballer. And they came back there like, yo, footballer's life is hectic. And here I am, I'm saying to them, yo, actor's life is hectic, I can't do that. So basically we all one thing. It's all about now finding that right thing that works for you and just continue being a good person. That's all.
For sure.
I want to talk about character building experiences that something you're talking about with regards to football, and but liking it to a football match. I attended with you out in Cairo. The other day, Clauiee asked me what was one of my favorite stadiums. I said the Cairo International, just purely because of the atmosphere. But your final wasn't at the Cairo International Stadium. It was still in Cairo, but one of the most hostile crowds I've ever felt in my life. I mean, I was snuck into the stadium as a journal, like police officers, snuck into the stadium to get past all the crowds coming in, and I still had to duck and sit hidden in the car so the fans don't see me, because they were going to associate me with Pirates going into that final against Al-Ahly. But the stadium itself was a scary experience, to a point where when you guys came out as Pirates, you were all, I think, holding hands like this, just for the team walk out to go see the field. Talk to me about that experience. Why was it that you guys were clutching hands? And how did it feel? That was I mean, it was scary for us as journalists. So, but it clearly, I'd never seen Pirates walk out onto the field where you just inspected the field as players, but coming out holding hands to show togetherness. But you guys had done it there. And I want to know, why did you guys do it there? How did you guys feel there? Was it as hostile for you, or maybe even worse for you than it was even for us as just visiting journalists?
Sure. Are you taking me back? Yo, I think if you can recall, prior to us getting to the group stages, I think our defining moment as a team was going to TP Mazembe,
burning cars.
Because we were a team that we were united, but not as tight. You could see a bit of egos here and there, But I think that eventful game against TP Mazembe, Lubumbashi, that's when I saw that I can lay my body down for my brother next to me, and we grew tight like that, to a point that throughout when we went to all these games, it was always, a life lesson. Would encounter so many challenges. I remember going to AC Leopards, where we had to travel by plane from Brazzaville to Dolisi with no air control. We were told that I fly at your own risk. So our pilot had to go through the river and all of that. It was insane. And all the guys kept on saying, we've got each other. No one else here. Everyone is back home. So if we start in a car, share or tambo, because we are one thing, and we're gonna rely on each other. I remember those words. That's when I saw players like your Dane Clates, that's when I saw players now coming closer and being, your brother who's gonna say to you, I know situations like this, you are crazy scared right now, but don't worry, I've faced such before. And it was, so comforting to hear that from an experienced guy like Dane who's saying, I know, I'm also scared if it makes you feel better. He would say those things. And then there was one instance where we went to, we were transiting, I think, at Qatar or Dubai. And it was only the players, when they say, Abanye Baile, Abanye Baile. So management went there. I think their flight, they were connecting in Paris or somewhere. The players, we went to Doha. We got lost there. Yes, Salafega Bafetu, and no one knows the place, no one knows the language. Bafetu Senzan. First thing that happened, everyone said, gents, we're going to stick together. If we're going to the loo, even if you don't feel like you need to relieve yourself, Samba Sonke. And we managed to get to the hotel. How? I don't know. Mina Plaza was the youngest, but was some land there. So it was that. Fast forward now to that final. Because we've encountered and endured so much as a team, as a unit, we made that statement because It took us 2 hours, if not 3 hours, to get to the stadium. The fans were throwing everything at us. Our bus was attacked. It was just a whole lot. It was scary. And to a point where I remember guys who were saying, is it worth it?
Sure.
You know, because of
Yeah.
football, this and that. And when you realize that, you're like, yo, guys, we managed. So let's figure dressing room. It was that thing, the last dance.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I want to do the last dance, because for me, it means so much. Because for us, all the guys that were there, most of them, their contracts were up. There were players who sacrificed their careers to be in that squad.
Yeah.
Because remember, with CAF, you'd register players, and then it doesn't correspond with our transfer window. And now we had probably like half of the squad leaving, because TP Mazembe, we went with 13 players. You know, 13 players, and you're like, guys, we had to beg the chance, go to extend 6 months, chance. Let's finish what we started. And then after that, you guys, you're free to go.
Sure.
These guys had massive offers. I'm talking about your Lennox Bacelas, you know, players who weren't supposed to be in the squad the following season. But they sacrificed and said, you know what, I'm going to do this for the boys, not for management. Yes, they had their fights with the management. They said, I'm going to do it for the team. So when we walked out, Abo Collins as well, because he had to
Zuma,
leave.
yes.
Yeah. So when we walked out, it was that thing, gents, now we're doing it. I know we always say, you know, footballers, when you get to your dressing room, do it for your family at home. Do it for your family.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a lie. Yes, it's a do it, you know, but sometimes it's a lie. But at that moment, reality hit, because we knew what. Nakumbula sidla Mphahlele at DRC.
Yeah.
You know, hard body yasehlathini sidla lezo just lala by a train station. We should istimela. At some point, Senegal, I slept in a boat. Amanzi begu right. Menvuya ebusuku. Ngiyashuthi, you know. Yeah. So all those things, when you get to that point, you recall those moments and ask yourself, who was next to me? Mabena was next to me. I'm doing this with you, holding that chain. We stand tall. I remember the caption of that picture was standing tall together. And that's what we did. We stood tall, laser, what, everything. That was the significance of it. Was I scared? Oh, 100%. So today, when you talk about it, I'm still shivering. I'm like, I don't know how we made it out. Because after that game, we lost the game, right?
Yeah.
Wael Guma said, guys, you're a great team. I'm sorry you had to lose in these circumstances. But had you guys won, we were not going to make it out alive. You guys were going to be injured. And I remember that a fan died prior to a game. So that's how hectic it was. So, ubunzima sibonile manje kushaye private jet go right man. We are posting Mahlatse. Good morning. Man white sands relaxile beach lapho bengekho yonke lento le.
Yeah, no, you sound old sometimes, but Mahlatse.
I mean, obviously, you watch South African football a lot, and as an analyst and as a former player and stuff. There's Sundowns and the rest in our league. What will these guys have to do? I mean, to catch up with Sundowns. I know Sundowns have got deeper pockets and stuff, but even if sometimes you don't have deeper pockets, you can still play smart in the transfer market to get what works for you to be able to be competitive. What must, like, especially Pirates, Chiefs, SuperSport, Captain City, and the other teams in the chasing pack?
I think if you were to ask me this question sometime last year, I'd agree with you and say, yeah, these guys, they must envy but learn, because all we see is people who are envying what Sundowns is doing, but they're not learning. But to be quite honest with you, I'm seeing a whole lot of change. I'm seeing teams that are now picking up a whole lot from Sundowns, and I don't see Sundowns winning the league next season. I can safely say that. I don't see Sundowns winning Nedbank. I can safely say that.
This season?
Yes, I'm confident with what I've been seeing from other teams. Stellenbosch, they are growing massively. Tactically, they're good. Administration-wise, you know, these are teams that are learning from their past mistakes. These are the teams that said, okay, what is Sundowns doing? How can we better them? And they are slowly. Obviously, Sundowns, being the institution that they are, they're very clever. Whenever they feel like they see that people are catching up, they pull away very fast. But I see people, for example, Orlando Pirates, what they've been doing with winning these trophies, you know, yes, we can say league, this and that, but you put yourself in a position where you get used to winning.
For sure.
Get used to, that's the Pirates that we knew all along, that a season would never go by without playing a cup final or winning any silverware, of which now they're becoming the cup specialists. They demolish everything that comes their way, you know?
Yeah.
And then you look at another team that is not getting much credit, TS Galaxy, my word. That
Yeah,
team,
well coached there.
what they are doing is phenomenal. I can't wait to see Sundowns versus TS Galaxy. Unfortunately, that accident thing,
They postponed it.
yeah, but now I can't wait for that. So
Yeah.
those are the things that I'm looking forward to. But to come back to your question, Mahlatse, I think South African football now, it's taking, you know, the turn now. The wheels are turning, and AFCON played a huge role as well, where people got the sense of belief to say, guys, this is what needs to be done, and can we apply that? Yes, we're still far behind, you know, and I would say the lacking part of it, it's probably administration-wise. I think we can improve. Once we improve that, because that's what Sundowns is doing, you know, administration-wise, we don't get to see their dirty laundry. We don't get to hear about it. Every family has its issues, but the good thing about them is that we don't get to see all those things, and that's why everyone envies Sundowns. You get my point? So now, if we can fix the administration side of things, talent, guys, any day you can wake the boys up any time of the day. They'll still dish out good performances if they're well taken care of, and mentally they're in a good space, emotionally, you know, taking care of their well-being as footballers. I mean, I advocate for that. Well-being of the players, that's it.
All right. So lastly, okay, Mabena wants a question. He's eager, but hold on, Mabena. Let's quickly follow up on what he said. That being Kaizer Chiefs, right? I mean, you've spoken about Orlando Pirates being cup specialists, but in your opinion, Kaizer Chiefs, what do they need to do to get it right? Because in South African football, you also need Kaizer Chiefs to be a part of the party.
I know, I know some people are going to come at me for this one. More especially for my coach, Kevin Johnson. I love him. I love him to bits and pieces. He's very experienced. He has done it all. We've seen with Platinum Stars. We've seen going to be Coach Pito's understudy at Al Ahly as well, winning titles. I think where Chiefs lost it was losing a coach that has a personality. You know, for me, I used to downplay that as a footballer, but when I'm sitting on the outside and comparing, actually not even on the outside, in the middle, like leaving my foot this side and that side,
For sure.
I feel like a coach with personality, it does, you know. I still regret when they let Coach Kevin Hunt go. I think he was one guy who would have, you know, he has that thing, man, where he blocks out everything. Because right now, Chiefs need someone who's going to block out everything, who's going to say, I don't care about playing good. I don't care about who says what. I don't care about the demands from left, right, and center. My mandate is to win a trophy.
Sure.
I think right now, Chiefs, that's what they need. A trophy is just going to turn things around, because it's a bad spell. You know, it's one thing that we saw with also Man United, where they've gone through, after Sir Alex Ferguson, they've gone through a longer period with your David Moyes and so forth, you know, without winning anything. But when Mourinho came, then he won that one trophy, which was the Europa Cup, and suddenly the confidence came up, you know. So it's just one of those where get to a cup final or win a trophy. Then all of this, because they do have, I think they do have the quality, you know. They just need someone who's going to be firm. And I'm not saying, I know Coach Kevin personally, the kind of person that he is. He has his moments where he's firm, he has his moments, but most of his moments, he's a Jurgen Klopp, you know. He's going to hug his players. And that's what Chiefs don't need right now. Right now, they need someone who's going to be firm, who's going to come out and say, this is the mandate, this is where I'm headed. It's either you boys are with me, or right now, just raise your hand and say, Coach, I can't. Because right now, they need someone who's going to be hard on them. The training has to be too demanding. The sacrifices, that's all it's needed, both ends. Sacrifices from the coach's side, from the technical side, from the players. It has to be massive to say, you know what, I have to put in the work. But at the same time, there's little things that we look at and say, but these small things like limiting exposure out there and focusing more on studying the game, watching games, invest more on, hey, Mabena, what are we doing this weekend?
Sure.
Sine off.
Yeah.
Man, asambi so penda ma free kick, after penda ma free kick. asambe sobukela igame yeBaroka nani, just, you know, just to get your mind into that, you know. Then it brings back that hunger, it brings back the love for the game, like you were saying, that Coach Pito would send senior players to go watch different games. So when you start doing that, when we come back on Monday at training, the conversation is one thing: dressing room, football. It's not, you know. So we come in.
That's his place. I don't know why you're representing that place.
So we come in with one football mandate that says, guys, I've seen this. I'm not sure if, did you see that game last night? I think if we can try and implement, these are the things, by the way, we used to do at Pirates. I'm not saying something that is because, you know, sometimes the buzz would, go easy for an show. No, my guys would tell you, these are things we used to do. We'd go to Gold Reef City as a team, and it wasn't paid for by the team or anything. It was us. And then when we get there, do whatever we do, and then indulge in something else. And then from there, we sit down and have that real talk and say, but Mahlatse lo another.
What is it?
You know, and when we start having, so once we start having these real conversations, then you understand that you're in a safe space. And then we build that small community around us where no one can come in and destroy that from outside. Because Nase grounding, I'll be able to look at you, and then you know that when I give you that look, you know, it's about to get real. So those are the things that are needed for me. I think just personality from the players, a coach that has a good, strong personality that's going to impose a new culture, a winning culture. That's what Jose Riviero did. That's what Mourinho is, Roland is imposing at Sundowns, and also Siad Ramovic with TS Galaxy. You can see that team says, we have to win. Whether I break a leg or anything, we have to win. So those are the things that you have to impose.
Or whether your leg gets broken.
Wow. Terrible season to say that about TS Galaxy, by the way. Terrible season. Anyway,
you guys.
We spoke to Paula last week. And the conversation even went as far as talking about players and responsibility outside of the field. And the pressures that come with trying to live as a footballer, and judgment that comes from fans. And he raised a great point, actually raised many great points last week. He was deep last week. But one interesting thing he said was, it's about player intelligence and managing yourself outside, emotional intelligence from a player, yes, we get that. But he also mentioned fan intelligence, which is something I'd never heard anyone say before, highlighting how fans behave on Twitter and what they can do to players and so on. And then I gave an example of 2 Pirates players that went out, I think to Durban it was. I didn't name those 2 players. And there was a picture taken, and that picture came back to haunt them sometime in the future. Please, can you break down the story?
I was so heavily invested in this conversation, and I'm busy agreeing with him. I'm busy saying,
Oh, you couldn't tell that's where he's going.
So, please, because that's where the fans come in. And when we can manipulate maybe even your career without realizing what's what we're doing. Tell your story and how it hurt you.
Look, I think the incident that you're talking about, it happened when I was injured, actually. Was having the best form of my life. We're playing Confed, actually, you know. I got injured. Opa got injured 2 weeks after. Same stadium, you know, the story, same stadium, same hospital and everything. The bromance thing, you know. So after that, like mentally, we were damaged, because remember how we lost the Champions League, and we made a vow as a club that was Senzo's dream. We're going to win it for him, the Confed, you know. Everyone went into that Confed with that mandate. We're doing it for him, you know. And getting injured at a crucial phase for me, having raked up, because I remember when I got injured, I had raked up 5 clean sheets. I was already nominated as one of the best 5 goalkeepers for that Confed. I was getting calls from Coach Shakes Mashab and Coach Lakishiburu, goalkeeper Coach Bafana, because prior to that I kept on saying, when am I getting my call-up, you know? And that call-up came, you know, and then I got injured. In my mind, it really damaged me. Cool. Opa, same thing, you know, he was there. And I remember there was a time where we got to training, you know, crutches, and we get to training there. When we get there, people are having a joy, like it's so nice, the environment, everyone is laughing. You know, when they saw us, Bafeto, moved on with their thing. And then that's when now reality check-in is like, they don't need you guys. Like life is going, it's moving on, just like that, you know? And as a player, you get to those moments where you're moving from an integral part of the team to a, it's whatever, we'll see you whenever we see you, you know? And most importantly, without, you know, making it about us, I think most importantly was the thing of seeing people doing what they love, enjoying it, and having that sense of feeling, I also miss doing that. This is what I love the most, you know? It hit us, and we got to a point where we're like, you know what? This is not healthy. This is not safe for us. This is not the right environment for us.
For sure.
The best thing, guys, I always tell people, injury or whatnot, ask for leave and just go away to cool off.
Yeah.
It's the best one. It helps. So we decided, drive to Devon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to leave.
We got leave.
Yeah.
We drove. Team said, okay, as long as you guys are not going to miss next week, your rehab program, everything. Got leave. Out, we drove to Devon. I don't know how we managed to drive because I don't know. I don't know how we did it. But as long as drive. So we get to Devon. We had a good time. You know, we forgot about football. And it was the week, the Soweto derby where Gabuza scored. Actually, when we won 3-1. So after the game, actually, we watched that game at Max Lifestyle. Go Max.
Yeah.
So Uncle Max uzwile ukuthi sikhona. So you know Max is, you know, Pirates, it's Max, that's it. So he found out that we were around and we didn't come through. Summoned us, we got there. We waited for him for hours. And I'm like, no, yes, a VIP. So, that was when I was still drinking, by the way.
Yes.
You know what? Max is ngamela man yena. But in South Africa naye ngiyayibona lapha man. And ngifuna ukubukela igame. Went down there, we won. Celebratory mood. Everyone is excited. Akusana lama question lawo. Phela mendliwe it's always nibuya nini. Or into yiyo lento niyaziyo ingakho nimele, you know. At that time it was a very lively environment where everyone was hugging, excited. We beat Chiefs. Everyone is happy, wishing us well. And we, as normal, as young adults, we indulged. You know, and that's what we were there for. Because we wanted to blow some steam.
For sure.
We got there, we had the best time ever. But it's Tombe. You know, and the funny thing about that picture, it's a harmless pic where you can see it's either they're out of season, there's no way, you know. And I baspankile lesas Tombe. Yeah, baspankile lesas Tombe for the next season. I think where we were having the worst time of our lives, the 6-1s, the 6-0s. So I think it was that season or the 2 seasons after.
Or 6-1.
Yeah. So when that happened, it started circulating now.
And
it seemed like it was something that happened
recently.
And the sad part about it, one of the pictures, I remember I had my foot up, brace, so that I can elevate.
Yeah.
So I remember the chairman called me into the office. I was going to the national team. I think we were going to play World Cup qualifier against Senegal and Burkina Faso. Called me in. He said, I know it's the terrible time for you after such a performance, after this and that, you know. And then he was like, I know there's pictures that are circulating and I know with Lentian Zeng Askati, he doesn't miss anything, anyway, he knows. Then he was like, it's one of the lessons that I always say to you guys. You must be wary of your surroundings where you go. Sometimes you never know where you do things, how you do them, and with who. And they can always come up. And most of the time, sadly, in this life, they come up at your worst time, you know, and when you're vulnerable, that's what we're good at. We kick the dog while he's down there,
For sure.
you know? So that's what happened. And unfortunately, that moment, it was a lesson as well, you know, going forward. Even today, I always tell the gents, whether it's festive, off-season, know where, how, and when to do it, you know. And if someone asks for a pic, nicely so, decline it. Actually, decline.
Yeah.
Because the very same person, it's like manje mina umuntu mengicela picture natural look ngithenga act out angifakanga makeup yabo ngithi no brother I don't have makeup on. I'm not wearing the LV I'm not wearing the LV wardrobe so that's not brand new who's gonna give you a pic, you know. Gracefully so I'd be like I'm not wearing makeup, I'm not wearing that LV brand new so can we, you know, because the very same picture, the very same person is the one who's going to go to Twitter or social media. You know, so the world is not that kind, and they don't understand the impact that it has on these players. Because Brighton back then, he was still going through a lot, still trying to fill these big shoes as center. You know, you have a good game, still someone would say, you know, all those things. And when they build up, when they pile up, they get to a breaking point where you find a player who says, I don't want to go to training. I'd rather go drink because they appreciate me more when I'm drinking, you know? So it's all those things that build up and they get to a point where certain players can't take it anymore. You find a player that's going to say, I can't. Even if you say to him, you are talented, you can do it, that player will tell you straight that I can't. It's because of that. And we understand where it's coming from the fans, because people will tell you that there's betting now, they're using their hard-earned cash, you know, to go to the stadium, to the tickets. But I always say, there's no amount of money that can replace a value in you know, because what you are doing, always switch the tables and think about it as your own child going through that. And tell me as a parent, because for me, it's all good. As players, we've developed that thick skin. You know, we can take it. We are trained to do that. We're used to that. But the sad part that maybe I would have loved to emphasize on is our families. You have kids that now can't go to school because they tease them about what's going on in your life. There's a father or a mother that can't go to work because I'm 17, but the mother that's supposed to be proud of you, talking about you and everything. Because all those things, they play a huge role to a point that it affects the family dynamics, because now from what could have just been left on the field or being supportive on the field, parents can't even come to the stadium. Because much as I'd love to come support you, but I can't bear the pain of hearing the insults about my child, you know, which is very, very painful, you know. And all of that, now as a footballer, you're sitting and ask yourself now, is it worth it? Is it worth it? And that's how it breaks all the players.
Sizwe Mabena, on our way here, I did tell you that we'll need 2 hours for Brighton and Mhlongo, which we did not have, unfortunately.
He started Mina was coming in with a answer and sit. But it's always like that when you're sitting with the legends, the custodians, the true custodians of the game.
All right, last question before we get out of here. Mahlatse and Mphahlele, you will start with it. This question is for everybody. We do know that with Bafana Bafana playing, there's one player that will always trend, that being Themba Zwane, Mshishi himself. Wherever you go, be it on Twitter, Instagram, everybody will talk about Mshishi. And we decided to ask the question today as to, when you look into Themba Zwane, where do you rank him in terms of the best players you've seen? Mahlatse and Mphahlele, because you're the eldest from the group, talk to us where you place Mshishi.
So, man.
You see that society different. It's a very difficult one. Okay, I'm going to answer it this way. I'm going to concede that Themba Zwane is the best player of his generation. There is no choice about that. But having said that, he does not even make the top 5 of my best players that I've seen. The players that I've seen in South Africa. Okay.
Mahlatse and Mphahlele, who's
Maybe
on
you
your
should
top
give us.
5?
Maybe you should give us his top 5 then.
The top 5 of the players I've seen. John Schuss-Mushiro.
Okay,
number
I'll
1.
take that.
Okay. Second player, exceptional footballer, Roger Fidumba, the general.
Yeah.
My third player, Ndogis, Dr. Kumalo. My fourth player, Steven Pinar. Steven Pienaar was a big player in Europe. Not many South Africans do that.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Shishi.
Nah. Number 5, I'll put Donna, Teko Modise. There was a time, I think, between 2008 and 2011.
I like that part.
Yeah.
I like that part.
When Donna was almost unplayable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played football of the highest quality, and also the influence that Teko had in the game.
Sure.
He was the poster boy of the World Cup.
Sure.
And number 6, I'll put Themba Zwane.
All right, I would love to stay more on it, but we don't have time. Brighton Mhlongo, you take a jab at it?
I'd give it to him based on the grades that he mentioned.
No, so now your perspective, where do you place him, Shishi?
Who? Definitely top 5.
He's in your top 5.
My top 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's just leave it at that.
You don't want to name players?
Shikabala, I don't want to name players. I love his top 5. Truly amazing. I'm glad you mentioned Roger Fetumba, one of the greats as well.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. I'm glad that he mentioned that period and whatnot, because with Themba, we don't have that period and that. Themba, ever since he broke into the scene, he's been consistent, even on loan and whatnot, throughout. So I'm happy with that. Definitely top 5, if not top 3 for me. Shikabala. In fact, Danko.
Oh, and he's like the most shy guy. Like you see when they're like singing for him, she's just like, guys, why are you doing it? Sizwe Mabena.
I've got him in my top 3. If Clive Barker says when you're young coming into the PSL, this guy is of shoes quality, it means a lot coming from Clive Barker, who won the AFCON with those guys. Shoes, my favorite South African footballer of all time that I've watched play. Luckily enough, I've watched him play, not doctor. But on accomplishments as well, I'm also looking at accomplishments and medals. That pushes Zwane to make number 2 for me. Consistency as well, which is something you mentioned. So shoes, unbelievable.
I'm young, guys. I was born in 1991.
For me, behind shoes is Themba on accomplishments alone.
Okay.
And consistently playing in the top of the continent for so many years. Semi-finals, finals, quarters. Number 2 for me after shoes.
All right, you let us know at home, is Themba Zwane in your top 5 of the greatest footballers that you've seen in South Africa? We definitely would love to hear from you. You've heard from the gentleman. Only Mahlatse and Mphahlele saying that top 6 is where Mshishi is, but at least is within the top 10. Let us know your thoughts, and that's how we wrap up the Arena Sports Show. Always a pleasure, of course, having Brighton Mhlongo. We'll bring him back for part 2, of course, to talk more of what's been happening and get, of course, what's happening in terms of the acting. Maybe he'll give us a bit of a scoop. I don't know, but we'll try our best to find out what's going on there. From us, it's cheers, goodbye.